Welcome to the Lilydale Assembly Astrology Cafe. I'm your host, Patricia Bell. Yes, I am a registered medium in Lilydale, and I am a vintage astrologer of 5 decades. So it's as though that this is a great joy for me to be able to be with you to share the love of astrology here in Lilydale. Now, today, I have what I consider one of the most magical ladies on the planet. Rachel Lang is not only an astrologer, but she's a magician and she's a medium. And she has all this wonderful energy that I'm going to let her talk to you about. And I think that the people of Ojai, California, are blessed to have her as part of their community and on their board to take care of them. I mean, I have seen Rachel's chart, and as far as I'm concerned, I'd love to see her to be governor of California. She knows. So if you want to get a hold of me, just go to patriciabell.net or Lilydale Assembly. You'll find me there. But I'm going to turn this over to Rachel because I really want you to feel her magic, get to know her, and, you know, join us in Lilydale for our special week.
Mm.
Welcome, Rachel.
Patricia, thank you so much. That was the warmest welcome I've ever received. I am so honored and really grateful that you opened up the opportunity for us to gather for Astrology Week, and that you are doing all of the wonderful work that you do in the world to make astrology accessible to people who otherwise wouldn't know how to use this incredible tool.
And isn't it though?
Yeah.
Because with everything going on in this planet, I know as an astrologer, and you do, that we sort of have this sort of guiding light
Mhm.
to help us. But come on, tell us a little bit more about you. What was the magic that got you into astrology?
So actually, it was really magic. When I was younger, I loved playing this game with when I would go to the library, I would just walk down a random aisle and pick up the first book I saw and read it. And one of those library trips was fateful. It I found an astrology book, and it was the only astrology book you'll ever need, and it was a big purple book. And I came home, I learned how to construct my chart, and and something inside of me clicked, and it made sense to me, and it helped to answer a lot of questions I had about myself. I was 14 years old at the time, and so I started to really connect with astrology, and I think I checked out every astrology book in the public library system. And then I continued my studies, and I've studied with some of the most well-respected astrologers of our time, some of whom have passed. And I started my practice 20 years ago this year. So it's been a long journey, but it's like I said, it's a tool that has helped guide every aspect of my life, and I love being able to offer that for other people too.
Well, I know you are astrologer, but I also know that you're mediumistic.
Yes.
And I know that's also part of your magic. So, how did that tap in?
hmm Well, when I exhausted the public library system of all their astrology books, I went and I found a metaphysical bookstore, and it turned out that they had a spiritualist service on a couple times a month. And so I started to go to these spiritualist services, and then I ended up taking development classes, and suddenly within a very short time, I was in the middle of the circle giving messages to the community. And this was 30 years ago now. So I've been doing this a long time, and and so I learned astrology and mediumship concurrently and that opened me up into all of the Western esoteric traditions. And so it's been a lifelong journey, and I love being able to use these gifts, these tools to help others, to help guide people at a time in the world when there aren't a lot of answers, and we're really in this paradigm shift.
And don't you think that it's not everybody that has to be a medium or astrologer, but the intuitive aspect is tapping everyone,
Hmm.
and you see it, and they're receiving these messages or having vibrations from the stars, and knowing more what's going on with them is also so important. Now,
Hmm.
uh, I understand you have a cat.
I do. I have a cat, yes, and
Okay.
and a dog.
All right. Because our animals are, they're like to me barometers of what's going on. And you can tell, I know I can with my cat. She's amazing to me. It's like when this eclipse was, both these eclipses in the past that happened, she would come on the night of the eclipse and put her paw in my hand, as
Wow.
if, it was sort of like as if she was preparing me or something, which I think is absolutely amazing, because I know a lot of people, um, we have great communication with our animals, and
Hmm.
that is really something I think that is special as well.
Yeah, me too. I know. I think there it's interesting. So we're recording this on March 3rd, and there was the lunar eclipse last night, and my cat was awake all night, and and so they do. I mean, our animals they sense things in ways that we can't. And I really do think that our animals come into our lives to offer us help, to offer us blessings, and sometimes to teach us lessons. So,
Well, being a sensitive, Rachel, and being involved in politics, do you get anxious? How do you handle that? I mean, I just, have been there in my younger years, but even when I am watching what's going on in the daily news, I find that there is this, how am I supposed to handle this?
mhm,
Because we're not on the front lines.
mhm,
Uh, and it seems as though we want to invest some of our energies, yes, of course, through prayer and stuff. But how, is there anything that you can say that you do to align yourself to be able to handle these turbulent times?
mhm. I think first of all, I think being involved mm, allows me to feel like I'm part of a solution. It helps me to keep that bigger picture in mind, that if I'm using my skills, my time, my energy to help shape the world and make it a world that I want to be proud, that I will be proud to leave to future generations, then that's part of my that's part of how it's part of my strategy for how to walk through a time when there we are witnessing unprecedented corruption and violence and walk through this time and not feel powerless. And being on the city council is not, it's not the same as being in a position of leading a country or leading a state, but it is grounded in the knowing that what I'm doing is helping my community. And I think we really do have a lot of power in our local communities and in our communities, as we know, with Pluto being in Aquarius. Aquarius relates to to the groups that we're a part of. It relates to the ways in which we come together and unify. And and so with Pluto and Aquarius, I think all of us are looking for where's my place to do that, even if we're not conscious of it. And so I feel really purposeful in contributing to my local community because the difference that I'm able to make, I can see it in real time. I can see it in the paving of the streets, in the planting of the trees, in the ways that we address pesticides and environmental concerns. And so taking action in that way is one of the ways in which I manage the sometimes despair that I feel with seeing the ways in which the earth is being harmed or that children are being harmed, or it helps to create a balancing act.
Well, I know you've written a children's book,
Yes.
but and I have run the children's program in Lilydale now 22 years. And yes, I think that it's great because children are feeling the stress as well.
They are.
And I know California has a wider base as far as sensitivity to certain things,
Mhm.
but yet we all, as in our communities, can do things as well. Now, I understand you did a retreat. Did you not?
I have done several retreats, yes.
Well, didn't you do one on writing?
Yeah, actually, that's coming up April 16th
Yes.
through 19th. Yes. And I'm co-leading it with Colby Rebel, who is another psychic medium and best-selling author. And we are going to help people navigate the writing process and the publishing process. And it's the title of it is Stop Waiting, Start Writing. So it helps writers become authors.
Well, we know Colby because she has come
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Lilydale a couple
yeah.
of times, to say the least. But I just think it's this very eclectic involvement you have that gets us to know you even better. So if anybody's out there in California and they'd like to work on their book, I
Mm,
certainly recommend that. But this will be online as of the 2nd of April. So
great.
can we talk about some of the aspects?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Like, wow.
Right. April. So April has some of the most interesting astrology of the year. Uh, we have several planets moving through the sign of Aries. And Aries is a sign for Aries has a couple of different facets. On the one hand, it's about taking charge of your life, new beginnings, pioneering change. And so there is this forward momentum when we have all of these several planets in Aries. On the other hand, Aries relates to things like weapons, military activity. It relates to conflict. And so we definitely see that face of Aries at play. Um, but then we also see the opportunities that arise when we join together, when we take charge of our lives, when we say it doesn't have to be the way that it is, that we can make a change in our personal lives and in our communities. And so I think this moment holds so much possibility. And that's what gets lost when we're in these news cycles where things feel chaotic. We sometimes forget that chaos is really just the energy that precedes cosmos. If you think about it in terms of Greek mythology and that concept of chaos and cosmos, that when things feel chaotic, then each one of us is waking up to our own potential to create more order, create new forms, new ways of governing, new ways of being in relationship. And so this month allows all of that energy to culminate, and it lights a fire within each of our hearts to do something bold that we might have been afraid to do before. And I think many of the people here listening are feeling that aliveness within them. And so my hope is that Aries season just uh, brings a lot of us into the fullness of our purpose.
I agree with you. And I also know that the beginning of the month, there's all these different aspects. And how do you feel we're going to be able to respond to them? I mean,
Yeah.
we can't control the planet, but we
Mm,
can, um, I don't want to say control ourselves, but love ourselves through the flow of the energy.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think so much of if you think about the way creation works, so the way that we manifest, for lack of better words, in our lives, it's through the energy, it's through our attitudes, it's through our emotions, it's through our responses to some of life's activities. And so I want to, this month, April starts off with a very powerful full moon in Libra. And that full moon, it places us between the axis line of that individuated self, the me, and ourselves in partnership, the harmony of a balanced relationship. And so I think we can use that as the launching point for the whole month. That if we strive for balance, then we can manage some of the uh, hectic energy that this month holds, especially once we get into the 19th and we have Mars meeting up with Saturn, and the 25th, which features one of the bigger cycles that we have this year when the outer planet Uranus moves into Gemini and stays there for 7 years.
Well, I know that Mars and Jupiter are going to have some fun together.
Yes, they are.
So, what do you think about that? I mean, it's like, uh, can an Aries Mars really push that Cancer Jupiter? I mean, or are we going to all want to run and hide?
Right, right. I mean, I think that Mars is fire. Mars is motivation. It's drive. Mars in Aries is in its own sign, and when you have the planet of fire and and energy and will in its own sign, that does kind of fill us all with this desire to do what we want to do. And Jupiter expands and magnifies anything that it comes into contact with. And so I think, Jupiter and Mars, this relationship, this ongoing story, is a story that is one that is about, about focusing our energy, focusing that inner fire, and using it creatively so that it doesn't just spill all over without any boundaries.
Well, I know that when I was in Rome, I went to the Temple of Aries,
Mm,
and it was really interesting because within the temple, it talked about Aries being so involved in agriculture.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's
so I don't know, do you think that maybe Mars and Aries is going to get us to grow things or cook things or wake up to our landmass or
Yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful reflection. Because yeah, because I think mythological Mars was the guardian of agriculture. And that's why Mars is associated as the god of war, because the ancient the ancients knew that if we didn't protect our food, our resources, if people didn't have what they needed to survive, then there would be conflict, war would break out. And so Mars has that aspect to it in its symbolism, which is protecting what we most hold dear. And I think Mars in Aries is going to show us how to do that. I do think that food issues, food concerns, particularly with hot weather, because Mars and Aries can be fiery, it can be arid. But I think that finding new ways to work with the climate, uh, finding ways to protect the land, the environment, I think those are all part of the symbolism of this time.
Especially, if we want to throw in Uranus and Taurus at that point,
Mm-hmm.
where it says, I've been an advocate of home uh, herbal walls, to have an herbal wall in your kitchen that, and use full spectrum lighting or do hydroponics or something else like that. And I know that there could be opportunities. And do you think that that is also a possibility, that this could awaken people, that they may want to? I know we have apartment dwellers. Not everybody's got 3 acres of land. I mean, right now I'm living in an apartment myself, but I just think it's a very exciting thought, because don't we all want to feel safe and secure?
Absolutely. Wherever Uranus, whatever sign it's in, it's showing us the innovation, the technological innovations of that time. Uranus stays in a sign for 7 years, and usually we see rapid innovation with aspects of society, with market trends that relate to that sign. And so you're absolutely right. When Uranus entered Taurus, this started in 2018. Suddenly we were seeing vertical gardens like you're talking about. There were actually changes within the agriculture industry. That was a time when hemp farms were teaching, and hemp farmers were teaching other types of growers how to use hydroponics and how to use some of their techniques. And now Uranus is at its very last degrees of Taurus in April, moving into Gemini. And so it's going to allow us to build on some of those Uranus and Taurus themes. Um, but we're going to learn how to transfer information, how to work with the air. Now there's going to be a lot of innovation in transportation, media, communications. These are all Gemini fields. And so I think that with all of the prevalence of Uranus in an air sign, Pluto in an air sign, Neptune in a fire sign, with all of the prevalence of this air and fire energy, we are going to need to ground into the earth. We are going to need to get our hands in the dirt in whatever ways that looks like, just to create inner stability, because air and fire move fast, and that's how it's going to feel for us. So yeah, I want to set that intention for everyone to have their own garden, for us to be sourcing food in responsible ways. And I think that that's a real possibility for this time.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that by us mentioning it, we're telling people, you still can do this.
Yes,
You still have
absolutely.
time.
Right, right. And
So tell me about Pluto.
so Pluto is the planet that relates to, it's a dwarf planet technically, but we astrologers still work with it as if it's a regular, one of the main planets. Pluto relates to power structures. It relates to what's trending in mass media, and it also relates to larger economic systems. And when Pluto takes 248 years to move around the sun, move through the zodiac. And Pluto is in Aquarius, and it entered Aquarius in 2024, and it stays there for 20 years. So when Pluto is in Aquarius, what that says is that we're rethinking how we experience power in our government and in our institutions. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the start of the the American Revolution, the French Revolution. The time before that was the Copernican Revolution. And so usually we see these major movements in space discoveries and technology, because Aquarius relates to space and it relates to technology. It relates to the internet. And so we historically see major movements in technology coinciding with a change in governmental power structures. In the 1500s, there was a breakaway from the Catholic Church. There was a move to more of a monarchical rule. In the 1700s, it was a move more to democracy. And what does this look like for us right now? Well, we are still in the process of working through that, realizing what didn't work about the system as it has been for 250 years and reframing it. But Aquarius is the contrast between a rulership mentality, the hierarchical structure, and power to the people, people in communities and groups sharing power. And so we are right on the crux of this time. We're in the new stages of this cycle, and we're seeing these liberating events happening all over the world. And so I think that the next few years are going to really show us a lot of structural changes in politics, in religion, and in the even in just the ways that we think about leadership in our own groups, in our own organizations. It's a very dynamic time. There are aspects of it that are exciting, but it feels like a lot of change all at once, because Patricia, I don't think I've ever seen a time when we've had this many outer planets changing signs at the same time. And outer planets represent larger structural changes and really a shift in consciousness. So, so this year up until 2028, when Saturn enters Taurus and grounds us, we have a lot of opportunities to create new paradigms.
And you have been articulating about these comets.
Yes, yeah.
Come on, talk to us, Rachel, about
I
the
know.
our good old Atlas and this is something that, yes, most people know about planets or stars or even maybe asteroids, but this is something brand new when you're talking Pluto and Aquarius. And where do you think they're from?
Well, I know Three Eye Atlas is an intergalactic uh, comet. They're calling it a comet, but I don't know. What do you think it's a comet? What is your intuitive sense?
There's a vibratory field about
Yeah,
Three Eye Atlas,
yeah,
period. And
definitely.
that vibration isn't just like a rock. Now, do we or the powers that be have the comprehension or the technology to truly understand it? Or is it awakening for us to understand it? To
Mhm.
say, hello, there, it's like there is so much more.
Mhm.
And uh, unfortunately, I feel it though it shakes up people's reality.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because in studying Three Eye Atlas, some of what I've read, and I'm not an astronomer, but I was following this really closely because of the this astrological symbolism of it. And in studying it, there was all of this new information that was coming to light about the ways in which planets and space objects communicate with one another, that they send frequencies back and forth. And so I think you're right in that it's regardless of whether or not it was an extraterrestrial spacecraft or it was, like a message in a bottle from another planet, it it definitely opened up our awareness to and it opened up our imagination to think about intergalactic travel, intergalactic communication, and what's cool is that it helped to open up this evidence that there is this planetary hum, there is this sound frequency that planets send back and forth, that it was sending signals, radio signals to our moon. And this is something that the ancient astrologers talked about. Pythagoras talked about this, the hum, the planetary hum. And so yeah, so I think that Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini are going to show us more of this kind of communication. Um,
Maybe we're all going to learn how to hum.
yeah.
I mean, it's so that I think, having loved sound healing and
hmm
that humming does for me personally allow me to be able to entrain or vibrate with certain aspects.
Yeah.
And but astrologically, what did you think of the three-eye atlas?
Astrologically, I thought it was opening a gateway for us to uh, have new awareness about other uh, other beings on in other galaxies. I thought it was opening us up to having more evidence that we're not alone in this universe. Um, I think it's ascending north node. There were three comets that were all happening at the same time. There was the Lemon comet. There was, I can't remember all the other one, but there were three that were all here within a short period of time. And if you look back, we humans have been studying comets since the first recordings that we have, I think, are the 5th century BCE. And comets have had strong correlations with changes in political leadership. Halley's Comet, for example, was Nixon. And so when I see comets, I think they're number one, interstellar messengers. They're full of cosmic dust and debris. And so often they go through our atmosphere and they carry out things that we don't need. And then they bring us inspiring messages of things that we didn't know before. And we saw these comets in 2026 and 2025 associated with or correlated with movements in truth being told and us discovering things about people in power. And so I thought that these comets portended and do portend uh, a total shift in power. And we've seen a lot of people in power become dethroned, lose their power as a result of some of the things that have come into light. And that that's comet activity right there.
Absolutely. It is just so fascinating that once we begin to listen and learn, that we recognize we're never alone
Yeah.
and that we have these opportunities to be able to commune with one another. Now, I want everybody to know about how they can commune with you at Lilydale and your two classes that you're going to teach, because I'm excited because you happen to be uh, the opening class of the whole astrology week. And it's like, here comes Rachel. She is just a breath of fresh air that has got the intellect and the heart to understand where we're going. So come on, share with us about them at least for a bit.
Okay, hang on one second. My dog decided to start howling in the background just as we started this conversation. So
Oh, well,
he's
maybe he wants to come to
I think I think he wants to come too. Yes. So I am part of the Astrology Week, and I love that I get to be there with some of my dear colleagues and friends. I am going to be teaching. The first one is When the Planets Hum. And this is actually blending astrology with psychic mediumship. So this is something that even if you don't know any astrology, or even if you don't know psychic mediumship, you can find out how to work with your chart to open up those the the path the communication, the telephone lines. And so this will be an experiential workshop. We're going to have lots of activities to help you to open up that access. And so that's the first one. And then the second one is going to be the second one is going to be actually this one is some of what we've touched on today. It's talking about Neptune and Aries, and it's where the weirdos and mystics redefine the future. And so I talk about previous cycles with Neptune and Aries. And, I've talked about around today about this paradigm shift that we're in. And Neptune and Aries is a significant turning point that takes us back to where we were at the start of the Civil War. And at that time, spiritualism was a new entity at that time. It started really taking form when Neptune was in Pisces. And then Neptune moved into Aries and we started organizing. We're back in that same place. And a lot of the spiritualists and theosophists and uh, you know thought leaders and philosophers of that time in the 1800s were instrumental in the abolition movement. And so there's this history, this lineage that we are a part of that connects spirituality and social change. And so that's where we are right now. And so this workshop is going to be all about how to access that power and the opportunities that are present for us at this time.
That's awesome. And if anybody out there is lucky enough to be with us, I mean, yes, Rachel's going to open and yes, she's going to have a class on Saturday, but I'm going to whisper a little something that during the times she may not be teaching exactly, she may be out at the stump giving messages. So, wow, I mean, this is going to be so much fun and so much communing and allowing us to be able to voice the things that we've always wanted to voice. Now, talk to me about your book. I know you have a book. Let's
Let's
see the book.
Okay, here's the book. It is so this is one of the books, and it's Modern Day Magic: 8 Simple Rules to Realize Your Power and Shape Your Life. And it's a book that helps you to access your spiritual resources and to tap into your intuition and to work with the planetary energies to make every day in your life magical. And so that's one of my books. And then I also have a children's book, which is As Above, So Below. And it is a bedtime story for children to help them connect with the wonder of the cosmos and their connection to the planets and the stars.
Well, you see, this is wonderful because the morning before your class, we're going to have a concert in which we introduce all the astrologers of the week. And that's when we are inviting everybody to bring their books. And if you like, you can send them to me and I'll have them set up for you. And whoever comes may get lucky enough to have their book signed by you. It's just, I mean, to me, I think this is going to be a real love fest
Mm.
with yourself and so many other beautiful astrologers in attendance. It's just a way to keep us all steady,
Hmm.
and as we've both said, you don't have to be an astrologer, you don't have to be a medium, but you have those gifts within you. And
Yeah,
that's what I think your book says, doesn't it?
it does. Yes. And because we have those gifts, we have the power to shape our lives and shape the world. And so, so I'm optimistic that when we have these kinds of gatherings and we have people of like vibration coming together, that really is planting the seeds for for the possibilities of the world.
Yes. So here are opportunities. You want to learn to write your book, you can meet up with Rachel. Where do they sign up for that?
Anyone can go to my website, rachellangastrologer.com, and I have all the information to my classes, to my books, to everything I offer there.
That's awesome. And then for the wonderful time of being able to see you in Lilydale, it's going to be absolutely joyous. And I can't wait. I have so many plans for everybody. And we have such a great group of astrologers that are warm and welcoming and, you know, that are just going to sort of like let people feel
Mhm.
what's going on with them is okay and that they can move forward. And bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you for your magic. Thank you for being on this podcast. And I can't wait to see you in August.
Patricia, thank you.